what were the main cultural differences then?
I don't know. The biggest one that
She
nearly
couldn't
got...
understand a word they were
Yeah,
saying.
exactly.
Zach. I'm joking.
How's it going?
Well, exactly. Oh, dear me. I wish I could do an Australian accent.
You do a good one, innit?
Oh, don't even. Put a shrimp on the barbecue, mate.
Yeah,
G'day,
lovely.
mate.
It's not bad.
I think it's like really bad. If anyone
not
just
bad.
heard me, that is actually
better than
Australian.
mine.
Yeah.
They'd be like, no, Jules.
The funny thing is I came back with an Australian accent, but if I try to do one, I can't do it. It's gone now, thank God.
Yeah, wow. Wow, imagine that. Fresh home with an
I
Australian
know.
accent.
And everyone's
There's
asking me,
something
where
I
in
would
Australia are you from?
And you're an actress, so, you know, you probably
Just picked it up.
like that. What else did you do with your time? Or like, what did you do to keep busy?
Oh, I'm sat again. Can't believe how lucky I was. I landed in this prison with the most amazing theatre programme in the world. So it's not like a project that comes in for a few weeks. They come in 11 months of the year.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
They also do an art programme. So you get paid to attend drama, as it were,
wow.
and art. So I managed to get on the art thing as well. So I did
Did
that
you-
3 days a week.
So you still had your like passion for acting and art. Was that something you
I
did
never
before?
really, yeah, but I'd do anything in that. I
Okay,
did
so
every
you-
single course, anything I could
Amazing.
get
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
But that's what, for me, was the main thing that saved me, I suppose, in a way, or kept me going. And it's extraordinary. In a way, I think it's led to what I do now, because they do a public performance, which is unheard of, maximum security. So you can have like some close friends or family come, and then you get half an hour after the show to eat canapes with them. Like,
Wow.
it's really surreal.
Did your family and friends come?
No, not my, obviously a bit far, but
Yeah.
the
Or did
guy,
anyone the guy, and his
came that was
girlfriend?
videoing me,
Oh,
and
wow.
the British consulate as well.
Wow.
I invited them and they came. Why not?
Interesting.
Why
Yeah.
not?
So
Yeah, I don't know how I
mainly
managed that.
the arts and drama.
Yeah. But the
amazing.
important thing with that, those public shows, they invited in policymakers, decision makers, and it's all a co-created show. And it's, whilst you're not sort of telling your story, you are sort of doing a fictionalized sort of story that's parallel maybe, or has some of the similar emotions. And it's a chance to sort of actually be heard in front.
Yeah.
And that's what's so powerful.
And express.
Yeah, can you, this blew my mind. And I love it because these women that started this theatre company did it off their own back. They're nothing to do with the prison. The prison try and shut them down every year because it's a security nightmare. And they just keep going. They keep going. And it's the women themselves that asked for the drama, and that's how it happened.
Amazing.
They were in there doing a workshop or something. They said, no, we want this in here all the time. And she was just a drama student at the time, and it's her whole life she's done this. It's amazing.
How does something like this affect a prison? What does it do for people in prison?
It's, oh God, it's the best probably way of sort of demonstrating is there's a lot of people in prison in there, well, they were with me, who had needs that were never met, autism, couldn't read or write. I'm thinking of one girl who'd been there her whole life, in and out, similar age to me. Really couldn't read or write, definitely on the spectrum, seriously. So she started doing the plays every year. At first she needed someone to help her, sort of like tell her where to be and everything. By the time I got there, she'd been doing it for years. I mean, she learns lines like that.
Wow.
Like, she just hears them like a couple of times, she's learnt them. And she's so funny on stage. She's a real character anyway. Like, I don't know, without giving anything away, but she was a real character. And just to see that difference, because obviously the staff are getting really frustrated and angry with her because you can't change your routines. No, but that's got to happen at this time.
Yeah.
It's on the spectrum. But then to see her and laugh, I think, and see another side to her made her more human. And I think it just helps those relationships inside.
Wow.
And also just her own personal development, I mean, it's extraordinary. So it's beyond all those trite things about people say about confidence, and it's all of that, but it's more than
the
that.
surface sometimes.
Sounds like it
It's more than
really
that.
changes people's lives.
But it's
completely.
it was that dedication of that sort of team of people that are coming in. They did it out of love and just
So
yeah.
sorry, these things. So the stuff that you did in prison. You mentioned it just earlier. That it's kind of helped you do what you do now.
Yeah.
But I was just going to ask, so did you get to, how has it helped, or what did you get to carry the stuff on? when you
Yeah,
got
so
out?
I guess it's that idea of making sure people get their voices heard and are listened to, and using like art or creativity.
God, it really inspired you, didn't it?
Well, yeah, see I just got there and they were about to do a play, so I managed to get in on the play and
Amazing.
I wrote a song. Anyway, they used part of this song and they wrote a letter to the judge for me, and they even put that in the letter that they wrote to the judge, this song I'd written really about being sorry and, you know, I know what I did was wrong, but why do I deserve this? My whole life gone. Sort of, it was, it was about someone who was being like in what we think of Australia, like someone from ye olden days being shipped over. So that was the character I was playing. But they used that in the letter to the judge, you know, and now in my work, I work in an arts and homelessness organisation where we use arts at sort of UN level and places like that.
Wow.
You know, we're using it at governmental sort of council level to change policy. And so I guess that spark came from prison in a way, because I just realised how important it was. And when you've got no voice to be heard, how that makes you feel.
It's empowering, isn't it?
Really, but yeah. But it's, I don't know. It's how you make real change.
Yeah, it is.
Talking about changes, when you were released, what was, did you get to go back home when you got released?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I got deported. Yeah. Straight to the airport, like 2 sort of like high-vis jackets so I don't run away.
I hear you.
Escorted onto the plane by 2 sort of security, and like you are literally the last person on the plane. They shut the door behind you.
They're like, boom, now the flight can go. See you later. Yeah.
That must be
nice
so
feeling.
intense.
I was so looking forward to that flight. I couldn't
Really?
wait
Yeah.
to
Okay,
watch
I hear
TV
you.
and like
just chill.
But I wasn't sure if I was allowed to order a drink or anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh God, I'm like still in my head.
But you're a
Like,
prisoner.
yeah.
But you're released then.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not a prisoner.
No, I
Did
know.
you order a drink?
I ordered like a lemonade with a splash of white wine in it.
Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? White wine with a
I
splash
was
of
too
lemonade.
scared I wasn't going to be allowed. They'd say, no, you're not
They
allowed
must
to
have
have
been like, sorry, this is not on the menu, darling. But
I did it for me.
oh, good.
But no, I did have like a drink when I got to Kuala Lumpur, and I didn't drink again for a couple of months. It was awful. It's
hear you.
horrible.
What was the flight like then? What was the rest of the journey like? What's going through your mind at this time when you know you're coming home?
Yeah, I mean, the second flight, because it's in 2 parts, the second flight was horrible because I had a hangover by that point from the one drink that I'd had, gave me a banging headache.
Because you haven't been drinking at all.
It was
And
horrible.
Yeah.
wow.
It was like, oh God. And I had a kid kicking my seat the whole way back. But yeah, it's so funny because like in my head, it was all going to play out like Love Actually, you know, like the beginning of that there at the airport, and you see all these wonderful reunions. I thought there'll be a marching band and all my friends and they were holding signs. No. I walked out and there was no one there. My flight arrived early. The only time I've ever like never had any trouble at security, gone straight through. So I was early. Eventually my dad rocked up and I saw him like leaning on the bars, and I'd sent him this t-shirt that the men's prison had made, and we were allowed to buy once.
Okay.
And it said like doing time. And so he was there with that. I was like, all right, Dad. He was like, all right. I was thinking, it's like I've just popped out for a pint of milk.
Yeah, just back from the shops, yeah.
But
Wow.
But for me, the big thing about going home was, which took me by surprise, was the sort of the send-off I got. So there had been a smoking ban, long story short. I was really very good all the time, apart from when they tried to take my cigarettes away. So I smuggled, so like I had them hidden. Anyway, got caught and ended up back in lockdown unit for my last few weeks with all the old heads. And it's like a proper American style sort of jail. And it was my last night. And so as a joke, I had this big sign of how many 1,000 miles it was to London when we were all standing there for count. And they all found that really funny. And as everyone just started cheering and going, "See you, London! You did it, London, and you did it well." And they're all going mad, and the screws are going mad, telling everyone to shut up. So they all shut up. And then as they go into their cells one by one, they're like, "Bye, London! See you, London!"
You probably then felt like you really fitted in, you know?
I could hear him all around like the
sick.
L-shaped block, still doing it. I was crying. I was in my cell crying, going, "Oh my God!" So. That's funny, isn't it? Life doesn't work out. How do you think?
Have you ever
Imagine
been
the ladies still talking about London. Do you remember London? Yeah.
Yeah, they still call me London, yeah.
Have you ever been to Australia?
Yes.
Since, yeah?
No,
I was wondering, like,
never.
so
I won't be allowed ever again.
Okay. What,
will you
lifetime
not?
ban?
Oh, pretty much, yeah. It's a pretty serious
very
crime.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah,
play games, yeah.
They're
it is a
quite
pretty
strict as
serious
well.
one, unfortunately.
And I was just wondering because it would be a shame you going to Australia for 2.5 years and not actually getting to see Australia. But at least you have been.
Yeah, I have been.
Yeah,
Okay, so-
imagine that. Imagine you've never been to Australia and that was it. Like, yeah, I've been to
but that-
Australia, yeah, did 2 years in the jail.
It's what happens when you go to, like, when I went to Birmingham, like I was in Birmingham, but I actually had no idea where I was, like in Birmingham. And Yorkshire, I'd never been to these places. I didn't know what was around me, but I was there for, a year or whatever.
No, that makes sense though.
Yeah.
So but it is.
Because prisons are generally in the middle of nowhere.
It's like saying to someone, "Yeah, I lived there for a year," and they're like, "What was it like?" No
idea. I was banged up.
No idea. Saw some bricks and saw
It
some
was funny
fences.
though, because I think you call it a sweatbox. They call it a brawler.
A brawler.
In the brawler on the way back from my
That sounds a bit more
court.
brutal, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm in the brawler, man.
I'm in the brawler. Cock out.
Oh, this lovely girl was in there and just giving me a tour of Melbourne. She's going, there's the Melbourne Eye, or whatever it is, out the window. And you're not going to
To your
see
left,
much,
you will
are
see
you?
the Melbourne Eye.
I was like really
Joe.
grateful though. It was really sweet. Like,
Definitely sweet. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you actually do now? Because it's so interesting and you do so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we want to hear about it all.
yeah. So there's a bit of a journey though since I came out of prison. Really,
Tell us.
I think it's worth just probably going through that journey.
Yes.
Let's go. Yeah, come on.
No,
I
we wanna
came
hear.
out and the good thing for me about prison, somehow I worked out, luckily, before I left what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
I reached a sort of, I wouldn't say happy place in prison, but a comfortable place. And it was because I thought I needed a purpose. So I was a peer listener, I think you call them here, peer supporter, that sort of thing, in prison. And so that helped. And then knowing I needed a creative outlet, and then also needed community. So I think I had those in my head. So I was trying to sort of find that when I first got back. And I got Prisoners Abroad linked me in with Crisis. Okay. And Crisis, I said, they said, what do you want to do? The job coach. I said, well, I don't really know, but I liked helping people in prison. They said, we've got this great volunteer program and this great organisation. I went as a volunteer peer researcher, for a homelessness organisation called Groundswell, and it was doing research into breathing problems of people like rough sleeping. And I remember I walked in that room on that first day, and I couldn't believe it. They were like, "No, we want you to write or actually design all the research, go out and do it, and then come back and do the evaluation and the reporting." So it wasn't like you were just there as a bit of a token.
That's serious, proper work, man.
But they actually explained all the sort of the technical things about all the different types of research and data and things like that. They didn't talk down to you, do you know what I mean? I remember being blown away thinking this is incredible anyway. So I started doing that 1 or 2 days a week, and I started to volunteer more, do other things in that charity. And as my sort of confidence came back a little bit, I was volunteering all sorts of places, about 5 places at once. And then I had 2 part-time jobs as well. And then luckily for me, a entry-level job came up at this organisation called Groundswell. And I was, within 5 years, I had gone back, taken my maths because I failed it, and did an apprenticeship to do a degree and became people director of that charity.
Wow.
Which is still to this day I pinch myself. I couldn't even write a job application when I came out. Honestly, I remember sitting there and just going, and it must have all been in there, but if you don't use it for so long and you've been sort of told you're nothing, or you're Yeah, I don't know.
Where did that motivation and that determination mindset come from?
It didn't really. I don't know. It sort of happened. It happened over time. I couldn't have gone straight back into that. It took a good year of volunteering and building up the volunteering.
Is it because you worked out kind of like what path you wanted to go down, what route you kind of, and you just followed
Not really,
it?
I'll be honest. When I didn't really want, it wasn't my ideal job. It was sort of an admin job, and then HR, human resources wasn't. But then I guess I started realising stuff in prison made me perfect for it. And there was a gap in this charity. No one else wanted to do it. Yeah. And I thought, I can see a route here. I'm just going to go for it. So I just took advantage really of a bit of a gap and and HR is just really funny because it's so much like prison. It's like having difficult conversations, why we have policies and procedures, why they need to be fair, why they need to be just. It's really funny.
And if you can manage it in prison, you can definitely do it outside
and
in
I
an
think
organisation.
I really found myself in prison. I don't know. I found my strengths. And that sounds weird. I'm still a bit insecure and underconfident, but I was really bad then. And there was the biggest, most powerful thing in a way, I think, was like they strip you of your identity, and especially with that uniform. And I put on loads of weight. I went in like a size 10, came out a size 20, something . So I lost everything that I'd always relied on, sort of, and I had to be me, and it was just down to me. It wasn't anything to do with my looks, or I couldn't hide anything with the way I dressed, or, and that has given me a lot of power and confidence. I don't know where I've rambled on to a tangent that I don't actually know what the question was.
No, you're good. So then, like, because we're kind of getting into the journey of how you got into this position that you're in now, So there's also, obviously there's many steps to get there.
There are,
it doesn't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't.
Like, what was your journey getting into this position that you're in?
So that was part of it. So it was just building it up, like fighting with the job centre, who amusingly tried to send me for a job in the police at one point. And I was looking at him going, all right, if you want.
She was one of your police officers.
I'm just laughing, going, like, really? He's like, and we've got some jobs at Heathrow Airport. I was like, don't think that's going to work. It's so funny. But anyway, and so it is. So I think the hardest thing is like your family and friends, well, mine were like, oh, when you're going to get a job, when you're going to start, and that you've got to fight. That's mentally, really, it's just holding on to your own. I think it does help if you know what you want. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But
you knew what you didn't want to do, right?
I did.
Yeah.
And also I thought, like some of my family were like, oh, you're never going to work again. That's it. Your life's over. You won't travel. You won't work. And I just thought, I'm not listening to that. I just thought, okay, there's lots of things I can't do, but there's a lot of things I can do. So I also came home and I researched any organisation that does ban the box or is known to not worry about your record as much. So I sort of just thought, I'm just going to throw myself at places.
Good.
Where I've got a chance, and also like, how can I use this experience? It must be a benefit somewhere, and it is.
That's incredible.
100% it is.
Headstrong, not listening to people, proving people wrong.
Yeah,
proving to yourself though, right? That you can do it.
Yeah, I think these, in a way, have been some of the happiest years of my life. In a way. Oh God, I should have warned you. I cry at everything. And there's a very good chance during this interview at some point I will probably cry.
You've done well so far, but let it out if you need to cry.
Imagine me in prison. I cry all the time. It's like, it's not great.
It's funny.
Tell us about the position then, being senior producer then.
Oh yes. So after that, I got to HR and I really wanted to make a difference for people, and I did for a while. But it wasn't my dream job, I'll be honest, in my heart. I still, even though elements of it were in that job of it's all about co-creation and people with experience of an issue being involved in solving it, liked that part. But then this other job came up with Arts and Homelessness International, and it was my dream job. It's just, that's what I mean. Everything, I've been so lucky. I'm aware of that. Really lucky.
What do you do then?
Oh God. So we do all sorts of things. I've just come back from Brazil.
Wow.
I can see the passion already.
Yeah, we were supporting one of the largest arts and homelessness festivals in the world.
Wow.
And it was a sort of part of the Museum of Portuguese Language, an organisation called SESCI over there. And it was incredible, beautiful festival in the street with music and food.
Oh, wow.
They even had like a dog and cat groomer, and they were putting little jewels on the... So, you know, this... not just meeting people's needs, you know, that's the important thing. Art and those extra things are so important. So can you imagine, like, I just come back from Brazil and I thought my life was over. And it's just shows you that it's been an incredibly lucky break. But I do think I was put myself everywhere. I just thought, I've got to make up for lost time. So every opportunity I said yes, and it was meeting people, and, you know, there's lots of organisations that know each other, and that's how I got this job, really. In the end, I was volunteering everywhere.
And networking.
Yeah. But...
And how do you feed your experience into this role then?
Well, we have a leadership program for people who've experienced homelessness. Well, we think it's one of the only ones in the world for creatives, and who've all experienced homelessness, obviously. And there's a lot of, obviously, my life story, it's weird, but there's so many things that cross over. I think it's a difference, isn't it? When you're talking to someone that's been through something like you have, or...
How open are you about talking about your experience?
Very, very open. Yeah, very open. For me, it's really important. I think I read in the paper the other day about a guy who's running a charity who has sort of had a very serious crime when he was younger, very serious, like one you didn't think you could come back from. And he is running a charity. And I remember being really moved, this was recently, and just thinking, because you just don't hear enough leaders or people sort of standing up and saying things like this. And so I think the more people that can go out there and just sort of give a different story to the one we're told.
Yeah.
Because we all know the not so happy stories. And if that's all you hear, that's all you'll ever believe. So you've got to have people telling like their experiences.
What kind of reaction do you get from people?
I do quite enjoy it. Especially like people that aren't expecting like to hear it from me. And I think that's important. You've got to challenge people's perceptions about anybody that can go to prison.
Yeah.
That really annoyed me when I first got back. Like, so even family members. So, Katie, what was it like? What were the prisoners? What were the criminals like? I'm not talking about you, Katie, because obviously you're not, but I'm just saying, like, what do you mean?
They're my people, man.
Just like, and everyone would say, what's it like? I was like, well, it's just like being on the bus. It's like the same cross-section of people, pretty much. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's sort of, that annoys me, that there's still this perception that...
Of like a us and them kind of thing.
Yeah. And that is just not true at all.
Yeah. Facts.
Well said.
Yeah, true.
Well said. Seriously. Thank you for that.
That's all right.
Would you change anything about your journey?
No.
Why?
Because it's been extraordinary. Like, no, I wouldn't change a thing, which is a really weird thing to say. I wouldn't do it again. And I wouldn't want to have to replay it. But
no, I
to
love
change
that you
it, no.
Amazing.
No, I mean, sometimes I wish I could go back. That's the weird thing, just for a visit, but I can't, obviously. But that's hard.
I know what you mean, though.
Well, because it made it part of my home in a way. In spite of the system, I'm not pro like this. It's a very similar system to what we have here. I'm not. I think it's in spite of. It wasn't, but it's the people, some of the connections, you know.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Some moments as well.
There's some. Oh God,
probably also because you can't go back.
Yeah.
Ever. Like you will never be able to do that. So it kind of makes you just want to do it even more, really.
And there's people you left behind that aren't getting out for a long time as well. You know, it's just, that's weird, but.
Wow. I mean, Katie, thank you so much. Like, you've been incredible. What we really like to do on Life After Prison is shout out the organisations that have really helped, you, first of all, and people, you know, getting out of prison. So yeah, first of all, is there any that you want to shout out?
There's tons. I should start off with Somebody's Daughter Theatre in Melbourne, because massive impact on my life.
Big them up.
Amazing.
Yeah, but Groundswell, a homelessness charity, Museum of Homelessness, Arts and Homelessness International, Cursler Arts, Clean Break Theatre. There are so many. That's just a few.
No, that's amazing. We're going to put all of these organisations in the show notes. So don't worry if you couldn't keep up with the long list, which we really appreciate. So thank you. Just a couple more organisations we're going to shout out. That's number one, Prisoners Abroad. They strive to ease the isolation and deprivation experienced by prisoners abroad and their families at home. And also Samaritans. So you can call them on their free line if you ever need to talk to somebody. So it's 116 or 123.
Yeah, and if you're inside listening to this, the number inside to use is 0845 450 7797, and you can get in touch with Samaritans on there. And it's 24 hours. Yeah. Talking about inside, when you're getting out, check out our series Getting Out. Especially if you're looking for support with finding work and employment, because we've got a series that covers all things about that, so check that out. And yeah, so talking about you guys, we asked you guys a question on our social media. We asked you, what is the one thing that you remember most about your prison cell? And quite a few of you have got in touch with us and shared with us. So
they're good.
So someone called Helen said the awful mattress.
Yeah.
We all know about that. I Am Steve says top bunk.
Yeah.
Ever done top bunk?
No, but I saw
I have
them.
before. It's long. Yeah,
Maybe
it's long.
I have.
It's not the one.
Yeah.
D-Boy, big up D-Boy. D-Boy says silverfish.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, there's squiggling
I
about.
didn't see much of that.
Yeah. Teray says covering the hatch with my dressing gown. You know, you got to cover the flap. I used to use toilet paper, just you know them ones there.
Yeah.
And Notion says the damn plastic chair.
Agreed.
The hard one, you know, makes your bum
100%.
sore.
I hate those.
But yeah, what about you, Katie? What's the one thing you remember about your prison cell?
God, that I'm trying to think. Oh my God, it was the grate. It was we obviously don't have windows, but it had this grate for air, and trying to like put my face up against it when it was 40 degrees outside.
I did the same thing, and I just got dust in my throat.
No breeze in it, no air.
It's horrible.
But yeah, thank you for sharing your responses.
Thank you so much.
Please continue getting in touch with us, man. We want to hear from you always.
We do, and your responses are number one, making us laugh, bringing back memories, and getting everybody else involved and laughing and sharing as well. So
keep them coming.
Please keep them coming. We're going to do more. So keep them coming. You can get in touch Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok on @AfterPrisonPod. Or you can email us at podcast@prison.radio. Or if you're inside, if you're in prison now, then get in touch the usual way.
So thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. You've been an amazing guest.
You've been incredible. Thank you.
Thanks to everyone that's watched and listened. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.